Just a little patchy and a stick or twa. Sure on a button, maybe een or twa. Surely that'll do him, he's an alone. Torn bricks may steady climbing up and down. Just a torn poochie, lining hanging out. Carrying a handful of balls of hay ned out. Figs a fels good scalping. There and eyes bricks. Fin I'm feeling wearied, chewing in the sticks. Just a little facey, fagged and worn and sick. Here he has been lying, quietly for a week. God forgive me grudging, patching up his glaze. For when he was glimmering, they were happy days. On a chair they're lying, neatly in the fall. Bricks to fit a laddie, nae just very all I knew for mischief. Pranks of boyhood days. Word that he was better and tearing up his glaze.
Seemingly he went to sea, and he was the captain of this boat.
This was in your grandfather's?
A war Barclay. And he took a design off of the Wyvern Rover or the Wyvern Rover, I'm not sure which was the right name, really. But it was all hauled out for a solid beam. Off that boat. Can really. That's about what I can.
No.
But it was a full-rigged ship at the time. Ken?
And that's about 4 generations back, is it?
An old boatyard, the original boatyard, it was in Rosehearty here, Ken, really. And Robert Taylor was one of the sons that began this boat at the time of about the Zulu War time. And they took a design off a smoky and Dow boats for making the Zulu things because they were easier handled in the water for manoeuvring. And around about the Zulu War, which I would reckon is about 1870s.
70s. Is this when the Rosie was built?
No, it was built before that. It was built before the 1870s. And the next lot that came in was the XL, which was at the time of the Zulu War, again roughly. But then it was quite late. It's only about 50, 60, 70 years old or something like that.
Aye. And was it the last sailboat built in Rosehearty?
I think so.
Aye.
I think it was, yeah.
The XL. That's the one that's in the Herbert.
Yeah, the yellow one. Aye. But the Rosie was bought. Now we think there was an old minister here. Was Murdoch?
Murdoch, aye.
And some of his folk had owned the Rosie first, long ago. A little wee minister. And they used to laugh about him, a little wee boat and a little wee money, you can sort of. So it's out of that again, very well.
Very good.
For the you wouldn't know, like.
Were made with Oregon pine.
Yeah,
How far does that come from, Marie?
Oh no, Bertie, I'm not sure. The state of Oregon, I suppose. It'll be America. It'll be Imported.
Aye. So, why is it Oregon pine? Is there something special about it?
It's of it, well, I couldn't really say it, just as far as I can, it's just straight grains, very straight grain timber, like.
Mm-hmm.
It's of a tough wood, you can't really, we had been so straight grain, enough a strain in the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really, it's a great spring
Aye.
for that type of thing.
And of course, all the fisher loons used to have ones at one time, didn't they, here?
Aye.
And your father made them all.
Aye. I always had 30, 40 ones made in here, like really.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, maybe me, 30 a time, I know, not one.
Aye.
Now, you see, we only had 10 pence a barrel at twin threes. It was 3 pence farthing, you say, each for getting and packing a barrel of herring, which was over a can of herring in a barrel, and they were processed, you see. And it was made up among ourselves if we would strike while their iron was hot, and there was big fishings coming in. You can. And Mary and my sister Georgina, she was Mrs. Addison at that time, and the man came up from London, a speaker belonging to the trade unions, came up from London, and he was on our favour. When he saw me packing the herring up in the rain, he says, "What a shame." He says, "Isn't there nothing new?" I says, "The sky's our cover." There was a sort of shade put up for the gutters, and there was a tin roof. But the packers were right outside, you see, and they had no protection any kind. And that was what we got, 10 pence between 3. You see? But we won a strike and we got our money up, 2 pence in every barrel. For 10 pence plus shilling, you see, the barrel. And Mary and Georgina, they was what I would say the leader's hut.
Right.
And good atmosphere.
No.
Because the shopkeepers were up against us for striking, you see. They didn't realise a lot of them had never come to look at us in the places that we worked. And saw us working in the rain. Especially the packers. The packers were out, you see. And you couldn't, there was no question running in for shelter because the heron had to be packed straight away. Or the rain would have destroyed them, you see. But you couldn't, they didn't know that point. We would go to her, if we asked, to Dubbins-Mayor in the Barlow. And there was a man came up from London, a lovely man, and when he saw our conditions, he was appalled. You see. No shelter. It was down in the Deans at Yarmouth.
They go to the heatringer, got a flag, aye. And to say, and I keep fit, she was striking for more money. Mary worked at every street in Yarmouth, with a flag of in her head. All out for more money, for more pay. She was just one in Chris Peak. And was up, but we was at her back. And just miles and miles out. Grady party. Grady party. Which was a great mirror for her that. Ah, was she? Ah, she fairly went to town. And I work at the yard with you.
The gutters now going out and strike at Yarmouth. Can you tell me about that?
Aye. Well, you see, there were only 10 pence a barrel. That was the money at that time. And they struck for a shilling. That's what it was, you see. Shilling a barrel, yeah.
And so if it happened?
They got it. Yeah.
Aye. And did the strike last long?
I can't mind.
Mm-hmm. And followed this.
Mary and Chris Peak, but it came to me in about the hour. So then, when they come up and took a suit, you see.
And how was you gotten away at that time?
I was good in my hair.
Aye.
I was doing the deans in the open, okay? And we was our pocket and dealt with shady. Oh, it was like gold. And if it could, and some of them was chased doing, it was just at the water side, doing a parade, okay? Some of them in the arrow and the par. You're doing waiting to see the chased her doing it to see, okay?
Was there a lot of women involved in that? Aye.
Oh, or Piaba. So, masses of them, yeah. They get Fiawa, they get for the Heelans, and was Heelan queens, and Buckeye queens, and they were for Awa, Peter Reed, the Broch. Oh, and I mean, far off. So now for folk, I couldn't tell you for much of it. Now for folk involved, don't you see?
Mary Downey was brought up in Shore Street in Rosehearty, and she was a warrior indeed. She was far better kent as Black Maria. So, I'd call her the Wild Fisher Lass. Northern waters are rough and surreal. Rugged rocks rattle the warrior peal. Fissures hardened by nature's loud blast. Out at came Mary Downey, the Wild Fisher Lass. She weeded the rocks o' dells for mate, and carried her creel long afore 8. Syne worked hard elke nacht and day, living her life the true fisher way. Following the heron around the coast, gathering, gutting, greeting at the high coast. Syne nae longer could her temper hold, Mary Coat clambered, climbing, sae bold. Curers trembled at her hard, cruel roar, frightened for fear she'd crush them sore. She howled a fury o' dirks for her breath, elke een its target hit by skelf. Syne to the streets thousands strode out, 3 difficult curers thought they'd had out. Mary pressed on wi' masts for boats, and hammered down their doors the lot. Syne Mary Coat, oor bra fisher lass, held her flag high and roared o'er the mass. Galloping mounted police pulled her awa', then the Black Maria drove her by law. Yet the curers crumbled at Mary's secht, her price per barrel she got recht. Those days she fought and struggled on, Black Maria Mary battled hard and won. Times are changing on the seashore, boats are landing more and more and more. Herring and mackerel lively dance by, wagging their fish tails to respect Mary's cries. A memorial to muckle Mary Coat is long overdue, but much sought. Down by the shore for fishers belong, muckle Mary's memory still lingers long. Mary Coat of Black Maria.
He ought to be new to Parliament. And I said, well, I said, well, we'll make say too much. So he carried on for near a whole week. The strikes carried on, and I said, well, I said this for them. I'll get home, I said, and get your staying in the country before I said this for them. You see? So, it is the matter, and they said on the next, stay much to Peter Reid, and say much to the Broken Rosehearty for 30 shillings. I says him up at work, sunk down to the boat. So, you see, some of the skippers was found, the crew was found. Police, they weren't again. You see, their wives was out working.
Aye.
Oh, but settle the strike, you get into the other room, you come back, and oh, you'll get the other sixpence. If we didn't get sixpence, we only 6 threepence, you see. But we were the sixpence. So 12 o'clock, we've housed in Haven. I said, now we'll hit him back for him to Sarsdale. Oh, but 12 o'clock at night, our landlady hit us out to our bed, and was 60 year old wifey. 60 year old. She says, that's your boss sick in you, Mary. She had me Mary, you see. And he says, a strike settled. He says, you're getting what you're asking for. He says, you'll be out to your work, he says, in the morning. I says, yes. Well, he says, I had a bit out, he says. So he says, back at breakfast time. So finish because we left the Farlands, we left our here in Hens. And after thing, we did again for we had that thing about it. In the morning, I don't you see if you get about a year with, you could have a return ticket. But the day ticket, you could your first wages, you took the cure back up a ticket, at half ticket. Clear says, that's as we've been tramping on far too long. And I'm negative to be tramping on no longer.
Girls, come on out. We'll want the threepence over. We're not going to stand here in the frosty mornings for 6 pence over. We'll get the threepence. Come on, girls. I hear her shouting.
No, like Leah says, that's as we've been tramping on far too long. And I'm negative to be tramping on no longer. But it's time to get in. Just I'm not to be soft no longer. I was in Clydebank for 4 years and I can't, it was to be having rough ends and arcade. But then was from out working. And you have to live in what life, better than I where you said wouldn't have gone in there, you see. And see, I was supposed to be the cousin. So we broke like that our life. Till we would have better the cure us.
Harvest O'Harin, keep calling me. Harvest O'Harin from out the sea. Sailing boats come and sailing boats go, loaded with silver herring. Oh, I remember where the herring boats come. O'er the water fair far and wide, down through the tune the cuirass bell rang, calling the garters fair the fireside. Harvest O'Harin, keep calling me. Harvest O'Harin from out the sea. Sailing boats come and sailing boats go, loaded with silver herring. Oh, my memories run long and oh so dear. Ilka blessed name was music to hear, from Stornoway Island, Barra and Wick, Arable, Oban, Shetland, Malek. Harvest O'Harin, keep calling me. Harvest O'Harin from out the sea. Sailing boats come and sailing boats go, loaded with silver herring. Oh, my father a cooper brought say will, my mother even had a carrying the creel. I went to the garden at only 13, down to the fallen come great shine or mean. Harvest O'Harin, keep calling me. Harvest O'Harin from out the sea. Sailing boats come and sailing boats go, loaded with silver herring. Oh, valuable gems we'd always been told were rubies, diamonds, emeralds and gold. But for us fishers, all riches to be were shoals of herring from out the sea. Harvest O'Harin, keep calling me. Harvest O'Harin from out the sea. Sailing boats come and sailing boats go, loaded with silver herring. Oh.
when you left school at 14 years old, there was two choices, either go to sea or go to be a farm servant. Naturally, being in the seaside, you went, at Harborside, you went to the sea. You started in a small rowing boat with cord nets and creels, and you work at your way up till you come to 15 or 16 years old, and you get into the herring boat with a drift net, and you work at your way up through for being a cook. You started as a cook and you worked your way up till you come to be mate or charge or owner, and till the drifters came. Then from the drifters came, but times being hard the way they were, the cook, the fireman and the driver got weekly wages, so that you just had to fall in and take weekly wages our summer and autumn, and going to share with the Greatland in the winter time. And that, full of deficiencies for Frisbury, Yarmouth, West Coast to the Ireland, across to Ireland, back up the West Coast, up to Lerwick, and back to Frisbury in the month of June. And you just carried on a routine of that as long as you were able to go to sea. And that's about all you can say for fishing.
Did you gang the steam drifters, Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Can you tell us one thing, could you recall about life aboard a steam drifter?
Well, life aboard a steam drifter was slightly better than on the motorboats. Because you had a cleaner life with the coal than you had with the oil, the paraffin. Now, you still started as a cook, you get on as a fireman, you get on as a driver, and you just carried on that way. And then, if you didn't get a job driving or firing, you get onto the deck and you work at your way up till you got your mate's ticket, your skipper's ticket, until you come to get a charge to your sail. And that was just your life. And then you just followed that around the boat. Same routine, year in, year out.
Feel like it was a sleeping accommodation?
Oh, good enough accommodation. Good sleeping accommodation, but you all slept in the one cabin. 10 years. And there's 10 beds there. You all used the same pots, the same utensils, but you all had your own bunk. You carried your own clothes. If you're going to walk for home, well, if you want to get a walk to the West Coast or a walk to Ireland or any other places, you get a walk for 8, 10 weeks, maybe 12 weeks. So you had to carry clothes in your box, your chest. You carried them with you, so that you had always dry clothes if you happen to get bad weather. And you just, well, it was just your home, and you made it the best of it. It was comfortable.
Did you sleep in calf beds?
Calf beds.
Yes. Can you tell us something about that? Were they comfortable and were they...
Yeah, your bed, if you was lucky, could have been a donkey breakfast, a straw bed. But mostly, they were, when you get, when the farmers were threshing their corn, you filled a bag of calf, a chaff, off for the threshing mill, and that was your bed for sleeping on. Just a big sock full of calf.
Was it comfortable?
Oh, very comfortable. Very comfortable.
Did it feel, I mean, did you ever get any, did any fishermen ever get bugs or something off them because of the calf?
Oh, no, your bed just, as you lay on it, the calf just moved until you fit it in, you just had your position and you just lay there.
So how long did that last now, that calf in the bed? Did it last?
Well, if you've been going to say in the month of April, it hit the day with you till you come home for Yarmouth at the month of December.
Oh, I see. You changed it.
Then, by that time, there had been a new one, and if you was a one after a new year, you got a new cow bed until the last year, until into April. When you come here for the Gretland fishing, then you just start it over again, a new cow bed at the spring of the year, and carried on that way.
So you get to the Heron in the steam drifter, but you get the Greatland, the Great Line in the steam drifter as well.
Aye,
So-
in a drifter as well.
And so far did you gang to the Great Line fishing?
Up and down the Minch and across onto the Hebrides.
Oh, I see. It was more north
Oh no,
it was north fishing.
on the west coast.
on the west coast.
Aye. You'd have been fishing for Olden, Malig, just only the ports up and doing that way. But you fish the Minch, and then if the weather's suitable, you get across onto the Hebrides. And you just fished off a Loch Boisel, Loch Madier, some of that places, far over you could get, far you could get bait, only herring for bait. You catch your own bait most of the time. And you anchored nets in Loch Boisel or some of the lochs. You got as much herring as the short the lines, and then just work it until land maybe in the middle of the week and land again on Saturday. And that was your programme for all winter.
So when did you bark the nets? Your herring nets were barking?
Oh, and you bark at him every time he changed, you see. In the spring of the year, you'd have a young herring. Or the first of the year, maybe month of May, June, you hit the small herring. Well, you hit small mesh net. You work at them for about maybe 6 weeks. And you change the nets and put on a bigger mash for bigger herring. Well, you the bar cuttings, put them onto the green and dry them and put them into the stores. Now you work at a bigger mesh until the herring spawned in September. After they lost the spawn, you change the nets and put on a fleet for making ready for Yarmouth, which was a harder net and a smaller mesh. And you worked a fortnight maybe with a spent herring and off to Yarmouth. Well, our nets had to be changed at Yarmouth, but you just stored them and barked them when you come home again. But they were all spread on the green after they were barked. Dried and stored and put in a wall.
Was this how Dean the Broch?
No, Dean
did?
Dean the Broch and Dean Alway.
Aye.
Dean Kieran Bell, Dean and St Combs, Dean Rosehearty.
So
Every port had their own dry.
Oh, so you
But you barked them in the boat.
You barked them in the boat?
In the drifters.
Aye. And you took them back to Rosehearty to dry them in?
Aye.
Oh, I see.
You even barked them in Rosehearty Harbour.
Oh, I see.
If you was in a motorboat and entered Rosehearty Harbour, you barked them here and put them, dried them across the links.
Aye. So, fit steam drifters do you mind the names that you went on?
Oh, me. Well, I was in the Easter Rose, I was in the Pennon. I was in the Wallabank.
Do you mind the skippers of them as well, for skipper them? Was it Pennon, was that a west?
No, God.
God, oh.
Frank God, the skipper of the Pennon. Downey Ritchie was skipper of the Wallabank. What was the name of the dream?
Rose. Easter Rose.
Easter Rose. Well, that was Gamray, Johnson, Alec Johnson. Salmon, he did the salmon fishing at Gamray. Same Johnson was the herber here. His father, like. And I was in the Galilean with Peter Crawford, skipper ahead. Oh, Baker.
So, now another thing, Wally, did you mind any superstition during that time? Was an awful superstition with fisher folk? Was a...
The other folk,
Aye.
you couldn't speak about salmon with it. No, you couldn't mention a rabbit, and you dodged the minister. You were going to see, you didn't like to meet the minister. But that was just a bit of superstition. I died out as younger folk grew up. They didn't pay attention to that. But the old folk, and from you was time of the sails, sailboats. If you come down the road and you whistling, they wouldn't have been in pleased. So they thought with you whistling, you were whistling for a win. Then make a stormy weather. That was just a bit of superstition. I died out as you grew up.